Welcome to Intuition Unleashed, a revolution in personal liberation. The go-to podcast that helps you access intuitive guidance combined with mental health and spirituality. Let your intuition guide you and unlock a life of true liberation. And now your host, Becc Nelson.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our next episode of Intuition Unleashed. I'm really excited today because I'm joined by my good friend, Shaman Sara. Hi, Sara.
Hi.
We're so lucky to have Sara because she has had a very
thank you.
busy 2 years, because in the past 2 years, almost exactly to the day, right? She got married, and then in November of 23, had baby Noah, who has kept her quite busy. All those moms out there, you remember how busy that first year is. So it has been a lot to get Sara to come on, because she has been, I think her life got turned upside down by baby Noah, who is a total handful. So this episode is called Ayahuasca, Soul Retrieval, and Sacred Power. And so Sara has done something very unique, a lot of things that are very unique. But one of them is that she has had an actual ayahuasca journey. And that's something that people hear a lot about, but don't know a lot about. So I want to talk about exactly what that was like for you. And I remember when you talked to me about it, and I'll get into that in a minute. But this episode explores the true meaning of shamanic healing. So beyond the trends and the spiritual hype and what you hear about it, this is real talk. So we're going to talk about reclaiming your power, healing past life patterns, working with the Akashic Records, ancestral connections, soul retrieval, and your personal experiences with ayahuasca. So every guest that I have on is somebody that I've had a personal connection with and personal experiences with. And Sara, the things that we have done, the places literally that we have gone together spiritually, blew my mind. I highly suggest that people go on these journeys with you, because what I found, and we can kind of talk about this as we go along, is the stories that you're going to share are things that I've experienced myself with some of these journeys. And then you can actually talk about some of the journeys and where they go for you. And then the ayahuasca piece for you. The other thing that it was tough to nail down, Sara, because she loves to travel. If you find her on Instagram, she is the avid traveler. And literally, I was trying to get her on for a month, and she's like, no, I can't. I'm in Peru. And then I'm like, okay, well, how about this date? No, I can't. I'm in St. Martin. Is that where you just came back from?
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas, right next to each other. And I was like, yes, of course you are. And do you think that having a toddler has stopped her from traveling? Oh, no. But Sara has traveled on many places, both spiritually and here. I am so excited to have you on. She's also a very good friend of mine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. It's great to be here.
This is like your coming back out party, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right about time.
Okay. So we have a lot to get to, and we're also hoping to take a break about 30 minutes in, and it goes very quickly. So let's start just with, what is a shaman?
I get that question asked all the time. The simplest way to put it is, a shaman is a person who can travel through time and space. So as shamans, we have figured out that everything is pretty much energetic, right? And energy is not created or destroyed. So there's always this travel, right? And this physical realm we live in, it's nothing but energy. And as shamans, we have figured out, we have found the way, not figured out, but we have found the way, gone back to our essence and know how to travel between time and space and connect with the spirit world. And within the spirit world, you're able to track the past, you're able to track present, and you're able to track future, and connecting these dots. Working with the ancestors, communicating with spirit, and using different modalities of healing, spiritual growth, transformation.
Yeah. So I don't know what you all think about when I first met Sara, the thing I think about in my head with a shaman is somebody with like, it looks like feathers and, fuzzy boots or something and that kind of thing that comes from, I don't even know where, I don't know what you all think when you hear shaman, but, add to the conversation if you want to. But Sara doesn't look like any of those. But so can you bust a few like myths or misconceptions about what shamans are?
Yes, I do get that a lot, actually. Like when I have sessions with clients and we turn on the camera, they're like, oh. And I go, What? No, you don't look like a shaman. I'm like, how am I supposed to look like? Um,
Urban.
but yeah, you see that a lot, right? And those are all just tools we use to feel that we're in our space, right? So for some, wearing something specific would put them in their element, would connect them with the source, right? So some people you'll see just they have a scarf. Some they have feathers and they have some paint, face coloring, things like that. And it's just what you connect to in order to be able to, be that we call it like the hollow bone, like that you transfer that energy, that you work with that energy, right? So I do get that a lot. But the other myth is just um, plant medicine. So a lot of the clients I get ask me, like, do I have to like buy a specific plant medicine, or like how do I heal without having one of those things, right? And because when I first started, when I didn't know what a shaman was, that was my first thing. I'm like, I don't want to take any pills. I don't want to take anything, right? Like, but that's not the case. So a lot of the shamans work just through drumming, just through music. You can elevate the soul knows the sound that's calling you to go back home. And for some people, might be like the ayahuasca, or might be a different plant medicine. But you can also get there through music. I feel like your soul will call you to what it's necessary for you to take that first step. In my case, it was ayahuasca, because before ayahuasca, none of this stuff made sense to me.
Oh, if we are going to get into that. But so what you're saying is when you've worked with different people that you've seen that it's a very personal symbol or something that sparks that for them.
You mean like when they have like feathers or like different tools or face painting?
I'm specifically talking about the shaman themselves.
Yeah, so from my understanding, it is the case with me too. Like sometimes I will put on something I have from the Amazon because I use it for protection. So when I work with clients and I feel like I need something extra to protect me, because during the session, sometimes I might get too carried away and I feel like my energy, I have that scarf that I put around me, but it feels like the arms of my shamanic master, my lineage helpers, the shamanic masters that have passed, right? I feel like it's kind of like their arms that like hold me kind of. And it allows me to like use that power also. Um, so it means something to me. And I've been to the Amazon, I've worked with the shamans in the Amazon, and they have always told me like these tools are nothing but just something like we are in our essence. It just allows us to connect. It's something that like, I don't know, like you put on and that's it. Like you're ready to work with that energy.
It's putting the intention out there.
Yeah, just like we have worked. You've seen my mesa. You have chosen stones from the mesa, right? It's just tools, because as humans, I feel like we're like, touch and sense and feel. And that's really all it is. If I just told you, hey, close your eyes, tell me a stone you see, you might like struggle a little bit, right? Not everybody can visualize, or it might feel better for you to hold that stone actually. And like the stone itself has some sort of energy, it's an energy exchange, right? You might actually feel, not that you might actually feel, you will feel like a difference. As humans, we love touch, we love sense, right?
Okay, so that brings you closer together with who you are and the healing that you're able to do.
Yeah, for us and for the client, right? They're all just tools. They're all just tools.
Into your tools in 1 minute. But I want to ask about, you mentioned, I didn't know about my work until I tried the ayahuasca. Can you tell me what kind of like woke you up to, this is something that I want to do? How did you know that this was your path?
Trying ayahuasca?
No, the shaman piece, and
Okay.
or is that the same as the ayahuasca story?
So ayahuasca is kind of what showed me where I was supposed to go, and I didn't know what it was until I learned about shamanism. I suddenly came upon a shaman. Then my Instagram started getting filled with shamanic healing stuff. Um, I learned about Alberto Viodo. I don't know if you know about him.
No.
Started taking some courses through his teachers, his community, and then it just evolved. But ayahuasca is kind of what woke me up to all of this. Because once I did ayahuasca, as a child, I used to see spirits, activities, things like that, but didn't think much of it. I used to do like card readings and things like that, just for friends and family for fun. But when I did ayahuasca, it just like something opened up in the most like painful way, which we'll talk about. But
And I'll talk
I
about
don't
how
even
you
want to talk about ayahuasca,
I
but
know it's what you said to me too, that I was like, wait, what? We'll get to that. Are you saying that, I think you're saying what a lot of people are saying is that spirit will put a repeated thing in front of you to sort of bring it to your attention. So when you say in your feed on Instagram filled up with shamans, it's because well, one, it's like once you look at something on social media, it keeps coming back up, right? If I say Reebok, then I'm going to get ads for Reebok for the next 3 days, right? But so
exactly.
you started looking at it, but also we can't ignore the fact that spirit does try to give you messages, and it's usually when you see something repeatedly, it's usually a little tap.
Oh yeah, it was more than a tap. It was like smack, smack. Um, but the interesting part was, somebody came into my life just for a period of time to push me towards ayahuasca. They
Oh,
actually called me and said, "Hey, I'm sure you've done ayahuasca." And I go, "I did who?" And they're like, "Ayahuasca, you know?" I'm like, "No, like I don't even know what that is," because back then I was just doing like card readings for friends and family, and they. Um, And I started like kind of looking into it, got into shamanism, ayahuasca, and I was like, oh, sounds good, but I don't even want to think about it. And then, yeah, I know we're not getting into the how we did the ayahuasca thing, but yeah, like when the spirit wants to take you somewhere, the spirit gives you the messages. It's up to you whether you want to see it and acknowledge it or not, right? And that goes back to the whole thing of, faith is fatal, because the spirit is like, hello, destiny, bigger picture, your future that you want, dreaming your world into being. And then your faith is like, well, this is comfortable. I know what to expect. It's just easy to accept that, hey, like my faith is given and I don't have a choice. And this is my life, right? For a lot of us, it's just a more comfortable place.
I think, and this is a familiar theme in all of the episodes. Yes, you have a choice. We have free will. So when this stuff keeps coming back up, when spirit keeps showing you something, you don't have to answer the call. It's your choice. But what we have also repeatedly found is that when you decide not to, then there's this something missing. There's this almost a depression, like there's something missing that you're not following. And until you find that and actually follow it, then you might feel that like you're just lonely, or so you're missing something.
Well, and kind of that's where you get into the whole soul retrieval, right? And we'll talk more about that. But the soul retrieval, the whole idea is that through past lives, through um, contracts, soul contracts, we lose parts of our soul, whether it's due to something that happened to us, fears. Um, and so you're operating without those soul parts. So you're always going to feel like you're not where you want to be until you answer the call and you do this self-healing and work, that you're able to say, okay, now I'm ready. Hey, destiny, come and get me,
And I have to say that even as you're saying that, I'm getting chills, which means that I need to say to everybody else who's watching this, if you're getting the chills, then that means that there's something inside you that's getting called out right now, is getting touched upon. This, like, this is hitting something for you that you need to probably explore more. So getting into that those are some people that would come to work with you. It certainly, I came to work with you for that. And we had we've had
beautiful.
So many journeys together. I wish I could even express that to people. And what I really notice is that you have to let go of all of your expectations, because what you think is going to happen is not necessarily what's going to happen, and just go with it. You just go. So kind of starting with that, can we talk about some of your healing tools, your practice? We have about 10 minutes until break. So I want to hear about some of the modalities and that sort of thing.
I don't use too many tools. I have a mesa, which every shaman you meet would have a mesa, and mesa is pretty much our own healing journey. So we use stones to work with in each direction, and those become our mesas. We use that. It's pretty much 7 stones. We put them in a cloth, and we kind of close it like a gift, because it's a gift. It's our journey of self-healing, all of our trauma, pain, everything. Those stones helped heal it, right? So we have that in a beautiful mesa wrap that we bring to sessions with us, because now those stones know how to heal. They can help. And what we do is the clients, we have done this too, clients pick and choose what stones calls out to them. Mm-hmm. Based on that, I get a message of what really is the root cause of the pain. And we use that stone that helped me heal to help you also heal. It's a beautiful journey. And we use, so the mesa is the most important tool that I use. Other than that, I use stones. I do have feathers, but because feathers they hold a lot of energy. And we use those for cleansing that energy, getting that moving, because energy is not created nor destroyed. So we got to get it moving, right? So the feathers actually help get that energy moving in a beautiful way. And really the most important tool is the spirit. So creating that connection with spirit and asking the spirit, the shamanic lineage, my own guides, spirit animals, all of them to come within the session to help us when we do our journeys. As you said, you have to let go of all expectations, because you might come into a journey, and a lot of the clients have like a pre-existing like idea of what they're going to see, what's going to happen. And when we get into the session, they're like, holy, SHIT, what was that? But I do, yeah, those are pretty much the only tools. The mesa, and that's just, to bring all the energies together to help us heal, and then the connection to the spirit, which is the most important thing.
So some of the practices which are involved with this is, on your website, and we've talked about Akashic Records, karmic clearing, that sort of thing. Can you speak to those a little bit?
Yeah. So those are, so what we do, journeying is one of the things we do. And journeying, it depends on what we're doing. So if we're just starting out, we do a lot of soul retrieval, where we journey down into the lower world. So we have 3 worlds: lower, middle, upper. Middle is where we are, the human experience. Lower is where we go to heal. When we heal, we go to the upper world, and that's where we do our destiny retrieval. So the lower world has 4 chambers. And we travel through the chambers of wounds. We identify the wound, what happened, where the soul, the missing soul, like what caused it. Then we go into the chambers of, chambers of wounds, chambers of contracts, soul contracts. So what contract did you agree to before you came into this world? We have contracts that we actually agreed to with almost everyone that we meet along the way. And you have contracts with yourself, right? For example, hey, because of this happened, my contract is that I would never trust a man again, right?
Big one, I'm sure.
What happened? And then we go into the chambers of grace. Chambers of grace is where that soul that, fled goes. And that's pretty much the Garden of Eden. where we're all welcome to go back to. So the souls just stay there and wait for us to go and call it back. And then we go into the chambers of treasure. And that's usually, I don't know if you remember through our journeys, we would get a gift. And that gift is something that, first of all, it's a gift that's associated with the soul retrieval, right? But that gift is going to help you continue on your healing journey. And a lot of the times we take that gift, and when we go do our destiny retrieval, the gift has a significant meaning. Because sometimes clients are like, well, I don't know what it means. And I always tell them, wait till we get to the destiny retrieval, and we're going to use that gift. And then you're going to know what it means. But for now, allow it to have that loving, healing energy, have that gift with you until we do the journey of the destiny. It's a painful sometimes journey because the things that come up, you may not even be aware of what happened. And that's where we also discover past lives, past traumas that happen in the wound, again, soul contracts. But once we get to the treasure, it's just such a beautiful journey.
These are, and I know I'm reflecting on my own journeys because my gift was a dragon's egg. If you remember correctly, you probably don't. You've done so many of them. And I was like, and you see it in your head and you have to stop saying, what is really happening? Like, this is ridiculous. I can't really be seeing this, because you just trust that that's what it is. And you're talking about, from my experiences with my own clients and my experiences, in our discussions, which I love and treasure so much, we've talked about how, like you said, people are not even really aware of some of the things that have happened in the past that actually could be causing some trauma for them or some hurts in this lifetime. And, how do you even know what to clear unless you go back to it and say, okay, now this makes sense why I'm going through this, who knows, 300 years ago, you could have been jilted at the altar when you went to get married. And that is now causing depression for you now. Now, like you said, you don't trust men, but you can't even really necessarily put your finger on where that came from or where you learned that. So these journeys help you to go back and discover that, figure out where those beliefs came from, and sort of rewrite that story.
Exactly. And rewriting your story is key, because you are the author of your life. You really are. And when you step into that full potential, as you've seen in your own life, you can create. It's co-creation, right? You literally create your world into being. It is really your world.
I'm telling you, the biggest wow that I had that actually caused a very visceral reaction for me that I have never felt before. You told me to go into a tent because you come into the journey with people. That's something that's very different because I've done journeys with other people and they kind of try to lead you through it. And the very powerful thing is that you actually come into the journey too. So you're seeing what I'm seeing as we're experiencing this. And then you'll say, turn around. Do you see the such and such? And I'm like, whoa, I mean, chills throughout my whole body. And so one time you said to me, we're going to go into this tent. We were in an Indian village, right? And you said, we're going to go into this tent way in the back. So I go into this tent and you're like, there's somebody in there, go and sit and talk next to her. So I sat and talked. See, I'm getting the chills just talking about it because so I sat and talked to the woman who was in the tent. And you said, do you recognize her? And I'm like, no. And you're like, looking at her in her eyes. And when I looked at her in her eyes, I can't even tell you the sensation I had throughout my whole body. And I'm feeling it now just talking about it. And I said, and you said, do you know who she is? And I'm like, I don't. And because I could not understand what that feeling was. And she said, she's you. I mean, I don't even think I talked for a good 5 minutes because I had tears coming down my face. Like, in a past life, I was this woman from this Indian village and she was holding my hand. I mean, whew. And the messages that she had to share, so healing. But also she did not have an easy life.
Yeah. We go through these journeys to remember, right? We go through them to remember because nothing is lost. They're all there.
When you say soul retrieval, what you mean is the journeys that your soul has had prior to this one. Is that what you?
No, so when we do soul retrievals is connected to the karma, the contracts, the past life, but also maybe even in this life, things that happen that sent you into panic, like that fight or flight mode. And unfortunately, there was a flight. The part of soul left. Because when you come here, think of it as a ball of energy. When we move on, when we die, all of our chakras, aura, everything goes into a ball and goes through its journey through the upper world, right? When we are coming back, that ball comes back and now enters the body, the chakras, everything. Traumas during when you were in the womb, traumas when you were born. Some clients that I've worked with, the birth was traumatic, and part of their soul fled because they were scared of the trauma, because they've experienced something similar of maybe like the cord was around their neck, right, when they were born, and that goes back to a past life where they were actually hung. So we connect these dots and we heal it. We go through this. We delete the contract. We burn it. Everybody has their own journey. Whatever they see, however they want to get rid of that contract. Some people just rewrite it. It's different. But then that's it. We say bye. You don't define my future. You don't define my destiny. I'm not going to fall into the hands of fate. I'm going to go and retrieve my most highest destiny. Does that make
it? Yes, because I've lived it right with you. I've done that work. Okay, so we are going to take a 2-minute break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion with Shaman Sara, and then we're going to get into the ayahuasca.
Sounds good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am talking to Shaman Sara, my good friend, and also a healer. And we're going to talk about her ayahuasca journey, which brought her is sort of the gate to all of her shamanic work. And that's really the part that a lot of people don't talk about. Is ayahuasca is a plant medicine. And I've had this discussion with Sara a few times, and I'm going to share with you what she told me, because that's what we're going to start with this. So what she told me was, this is word for word what you told me. You said it was an amazing experience. You said what happened was I saw. It's not going to make sense to anybody. You said I saw the body parts and the blood, and legs and arms and things like that from the people that I killed in a past life. And I'm going, I'm sorry, what? And you said, yep. And you said, God, I was sick, and I think you said I was throwing up and I had diarrhea and all this stuff. And you're like, it is the worst experience I have ever had in my whole life. And I think I need to go back and do it again one more time. And I was like, what? I'm like, I don't want to hear any more about this. You're going to talk about this on this show, because those two things just do not go together. So everybody on the show, everybody's like scratching their head now. Please, when was this? Tell me the story. What makes you say this is something I need to do?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was back in 2018. My life was, and I was not in a good place, and I needed something to kind of move forward. I felt stuck. I was miserable. A friend of mine was like, "Oh, you want to go do ayahuasca?" I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's just plant medicine. You just see things." I'm like, "Yeah, cool, let's go."
You just see things.
So I went and I took another friend. She's like, "What's ayahuasca?" I'm like, "Oh, you just see things. Okay, let's go."
It's just hallucinogenic.
I didn't understand what that meant back then. I was very naive. So we go and, okay, so I take a shot. Nothing happens. Everybody's vomiting, making noises. And I go, what the hell? So, the woman who was facilitating this, she's like, just come have another shot. You know, your body's strong enough not to take it. Well, okay. I took the shot back. By the time I don't even remember how I walked back. It hits me like that.
So everybody is like having these experiences. You're seeing them having these experiences.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
And I need another shot. This is what you're saying.
I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I don't even know how I got back. And yes, I was vomiting up blood. And there was like body parts and things falling. And I go, what on earth is going on? And I started seeing past lives. Slavery, being killed, being a warrior. So I was in a bunch of wars. And I was just vomiting all of that out. I didn't know what was going on. I just wanted to get out of it. A part of me was still conscious, maybe 1%. The rest, I was just vomiting and vomiting. And I wasn't vomiting. My bucket was clear. But I was vomiting, if that makes sense.
In real life, your bucket was clear?
It was clear. There was no vomit, but I was vomiting. Like you could hear, you know, all the sounds associated, like everything. I literally thought I was vomiting. I could feel wet, like from blood and then that started to clear up. I started to like see myself when I was a slave. I started to see being hanged. I started to see like so many like stuff. And then like I would just vomit. And I think, and that's what ayahuasca is. You literally like vomit out everything that has happened in the past life that we don't know. But I'm like, I mean, seriously, like, couldn't you make it a little easier the first time? I was like, after the first day, the second day I didn't touch ayahuasca. It's like a 2-day thing. The second day I was like, nope, I'm good. But after all of that, I felt so good. I felt clear. I felt like there was this wall built with like just steel. And I felt like it was just removed. I don't even know if I'm like expressing the magnitude of that journey. It was the worst night of my life. It actually brought up anxiety, which I never had. And that's something I'm working with my shaman on still to this day, because if anything, if my body feels a little tingly, I panic because I don't want to go. I literally died and was reborn again. I felt it. I felt death and rebirth. And it was miserable, the dying part. But it was also so beautiful because after like that horrifying, I don't know, maybe it was maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but it couldn't have been all night because I remember when that ended, I just sat and I was looking at everybody in the room. And I think that's where the shamanic part came up, that I was a healer before, I was a shaman before, and I just forgot, right? So they're remembering. And I saw everybody as their spirit animal and what they were doing, like the snake, the eagle, and like I was just studying them and seeing what they were doing. And it was so like weird when I was experiencing it. I'm like, what the hell? But then I got pulled into seeing everybody's journey. And that's where I had to call for help to take me out of the room because that was like too intense. I had like 10,000 sounds in my head from their journeys. Like I was hearing everything. I was seeing their journeys.
Can
It was,
I bring you back to that for a second? Or is it too hard for you to be in that space?
No, it's okay.
So let me get this straight. First of all, you get a shot. Now, do I remember you telling me that you actually went to Brazil for this?
No.
Okay. Did you go? Was it you who told me that you actually went there for an experience?
No, I went to Brazil, but not for an experience. No, I went to Peru for an experience.
That's where you had this shot?
No, I did ayahuasca in California.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're this is somebody who's, no, there's no like certification around this or something, right? So
This is someone who is a shaman trained in Amazon, and she comes here once in a while and does shamanic journeys, leads shamanic journeys in California.
okay. So
Again, I knew nothing about anything. I just went
well, you
because it
really,
sounded cool.
yeah. Well, I mean, so there are people that are listening to this that would say, well, ayahuasca is a hallucinogenic. So how do you know that this is a real experience? And that's what, or are you just not having this trip?
Well, one, it is facilitated by a shaman, so the energy is different. It's so important, even though with our journeys, you can say, oh, it's just my mind's imagination, just taking me through stuff. Who knows if it's real or not? We open sacred space. So nothing is coming in, nothing is going out. It is a sacred space, it is protected. And you're not taking the medicine like enough or too much of it for like a psychedelic experience. It's a medicine that's prepared with the intention of helping you see things, clear things. The shamanic experience is the ayahuasca is to cleanse the soul, to cleanse the body of all that crap that we have brought with ourselves that we don't know. I mean, I see it in my own life. My life changed. Like, boom, boom, boom. Like everything fell into place. I live in a house that I dreamed of 10 years ago, literally bought it. I have my family. Um, like everything just, it's like a code that I picked up on. Like that's it. You know what I mean? And we all can do it. And I'm sure you have experienced that since our sessions. Like you tap into this energy and the energy kind of just picks you up and like, ooh, 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 ooh. You still have your ebbs and flows in life, right? You still have the ups and downs. That's just life. You can't get by. But if you just hang tight, you'll get through, right? So with the whole shamanic thing, in my experience, being in that sacred space, it felt safe to have that experience. It was like it was my world, and the experience was made around my world for me to grow, to see things, to understand why I behave a certain way, why I feel a certain way. Before the ayahuasca ceremony, I always, and I actually like talked to my coaches my spiritual coaches that I had. I said, I have this dream. It's driving me nuts. I'm like a ninja warrior and I'm killing people. Like I'm always in war. Like I'm not just going randomly killing people, but it's like I'm always in war, fighting for like my country or fighting for something. I'm like, oh, I don't want to dream it. I wake up like sweating. And my ayahuasca, like throwing all of that out, it's like all this karma stuff that I was in war and things I've experienced. I've never had that dream again.
As the work that I do as a therapist, we sort of do something very similar over several sessions where we talk about people's trauma and somehow bringing it up and just sort of being able to pull it out of yourself and put it out here and look at it and talk about it allows you to process it, which does allow you to heal from it and to let go. And it sounds like ayahuasca might be a quicker way to do that if you're willing to have that kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I would never do it again. I did not want to experience that. I did not want to know all of that. It for me, it was traumatic. Like, and again, I don't know, like, I talked to the shaman too, and she's like, it might have not been your experience. It might have been something that you saw, you witnessed, and it's coming up like that. Maybe you saw a lot of war, right? Maybe you saw a lot of people dying. Because like in one image I just saw like a whole village go on fire and there's blood and everything everywhere, right? So it might have been experiences that I had. I don't know. I just remember like throwing up all of it, and I remember always having a dream of like fighting and people dying, and it's like I can't pinpoint it to exactly like what happened, but something happened. And it's like I came with that as part of my soul, still being afraid.
And it's
Right.
not like you can, if afraid, you also talked about anxiety.
Yes, and that anxiety coming up.
But you are saying that you still kind of experience that sometimes, and that's something that you had not experienced prior to this being in the
No, but that's something I'm working through. So that means it's not a one-time pill you take to heal, right? Growth, change, healing is a process. And for me, that experience was so traumatic, like the ayahuasca experience. Again, I'm telling you, it was like the worst night of my life. I never want to do it. But it was also the most, I don't want to say, maybe I should stop saying amazing. It was like the most like maybe empowering, or like I finally felt like I woke up, but it doesn't mean I'm healed. I just woke up. Like I understood there is a whole other world. We have all these past lives. We have memories, good ones, bad ones, like nasty ones, amazing ones. Like I feel like I can feel like I literally saw holes in my soul when I was going through. Like I'm like, what is that? There's like light and then there's like black dots. And like Mother Aya, like they call it Mother Aya, the energy of the ayahuasca was like, this is your soul. This is all the parts you're missing. You're missing a lot. I was missing like almost 80%. Right. And it's like, okay, these are already healed through the experience you went through. And this is everything else you need to work with. So for me now, working through that anxiety is like, what is the root cause of that anxiety really? And that is what I'm still kind of working through.
So how come then tell everybody why you said it was the worst night of my life, but I feel like I need to do it one more time. That's what you said to me.
Yes. So I went back actually 6 times. So well, I should say 6 days, so 3 times. But I went back because I wanted to be in the sacred space. I didn't do ayahuasca, but the energy that was there helped me have these like amazing like revelations, journeys by just sitting there. And for me, I loved watching people because, as I said, I started to see things. Like I could see and experience a person was having. I could see their spirit animal. Like I was just like fascinated.
Can you
I was
share
like,
that you remember?
I remember one of the girls being like a jaguar, like just running through the jungle, and just literally like destroying everything kind of like in her way. And she was going through her own journey. And after that, when I talked to her, it was like really interesting what she was going through. Like her own life was kind of destroyed because of, some sort of a relationship she was having. But it was like interesting how she came out as a jaguar and was just literally destroying everything. And I kind of mentioned it to her. I'm like, this is what I saw. And she goes, holy shit, how did you see that? I'm like, I don't know. I just saw it. And then there was another guy, I saw him as a warrior. Again, he was like, killing people, like whatever, in a lot of war. And then I saw his head. His head would just lift up, turn to another direction, and then like there was another fight. And it was so interesting because like when he was sharing his journey, he's like, yeah, I was a warrior and my head was like cut off. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I want to go back. So I would go back and then just kind of study like experiences. But I think that's what led me to like, oh, okay, so I'm able to like see other people's experiences, journeys. And you've experienced it in our journeys. That's why I'm like, hey, I'm there. Like, just turn around. What do you see? Exactly. Like, go there. I think that's why I have that ability to kind of like track with you
So,
alongside you and see what you see.
okay. So that's where you found like, hey, I didn't take the ayahuasca and I'm still able to see other people's journeys. Like, and then people validated, yes, that's what I was going through.
It just woke something up. Whatever was sleeping inside of me just woke up. And I think
Wow.
it's the ability of tracking. I worked with a lot of people, and the first, like, I think 3 months that I started to work, I wasn't even a shaman. It was just, healing by Sarah. And people started calling me the tracker. They're like, oh, have you thought about this name, the tracker? Like Sarah the tracker. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of creepy. Like Sarah the tracker. Like, but it was
Yes.
true because then I actually like when I found a shaman to work with, the shaman called me a tracker. He's like, you're the jaguar in the forest that tracks. So that made complete sense, because I'm sitting there with people having ayahuasca journey and I'm tracking for them. And
Well,
it's their experience. So it made sense.
and that's where you started to do your work, which of course,
Yes.
yes, I have experience. And the other thing is that when we first started working together, you were doing single sessions, and then since then, I remember you saying I will only do packages of 3 sessions, because if you just do one, you're sort of not doing all the work.
For new clients, I only do sessions of threes to start with. Clients that come back, we do sessions of one, because we've worked through what's necessary to get you on your healing path journey. But I have clients who come here and it's like, I want to have one session. I need you to fix a laundry list. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. It's a process.
You talked about the rooms, the 4 rooms,
The
and
4 chambers, you have to go through the four
chambers.
chambers. You can bring multiple things, because usually a lot of things have a common source of trauma, right? And we can work on it. Usually when we work on one thing, a lot of other things around you start to heal as well. But it's not a one-time thing. It's a journey, as you've experienced yourself. We've done multiple journeys. It wasn't just one and you found your way. We've done multiple. We've done some pretty heavy lifting work in order to get where we are today.
Yeah, for sure. You're welcome, everybody. And so what would you, so we have like about 5 minutes left, believe it or not, it went that fast. How can people, how would people know that it's probably a good time to seek someone to help them like you? What are some things that they'd be going through some common things that you hear?
I would say, if you feel the most common thing, just stuck. We just feel stuck. Like, no matter what we're doing, we can have all the money in the world, we can have the lifestyle we want, the family we want, you just feel stuck. Something just doesn't feel right. Or you're constantly attracting the same instances in life, the same scenarios, the same experiences. If you want a change, but you don't know what it is. If you're like, I've had enough of this. Or you're like, I want to do this, I just don't know how to get there. I want to go there, but then if I do this, I'm going to lose this. Or if I do that, you're just in this mindset of not feeling where you should be, right? Because that means you're just living your life and not really living true to yourself.
And in my instance, one of the reasons I think that I spoke to you is that I felt like there was a piece missing. And I'm like, I don't understand why it's kind of, I guess, that lost feeling.
Yeah, just there's something missing in life. I'm just this is where I am and it's all good, but like something is telling me like I should be like somewhere else.
And it's that callback for the lost parts.
Yes, and it's also your destiny. Like, every action, every thought, everything you tell yourself every day shapes your destiny. Let's say you are aware that you don't want to be in the hands of faith. You want to recreate, or you want to bring back destiny, but you have multiple destinies. You could get out of the hands of faith, but then again have some fears and blockages and like saboteurs and things like that, where you're like, okay, like this feels good, I'm going to go there, but then you're going to have the same feeling again, because there's always that highest destiny. And that is what we do in our shamanic journey. We want to make sure you find that, so you don't have to go through all of these.
Sort of shortcut it so that you're helping people to not. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't. So do you now facilitate ayahuasca journeys yourself?
Oh God, no. No. No.
And you're done with that. You're not doing that again.
No. As I said, that I did it the first day and that was it. It was like, it was horrible. It was horrible, but it woke me up. I needed it. That's why it called me, right? I needed it. And then again, the sessions I went back to was just, it was a beautiful space to sit in, to just meditate for me.
And in front of other people. That's a very intimate journey to be doing it with other people around you. I want to be by myself, I think. if that's even available. So how can people, you're taking new clients now, right?
Yes.
So how can people find you and work with you?
So my website, shamansara.com. I don't have an Instagram page. I closed that when I had my son because I just wasn't taking any clients or anything, but my website would be the best way. They can message me through there.
Shamansara.com. You do have a contact page, so there is a page for you as the host here, as the guest here, and then so that was what they would get. They would have to sign up for those 3 sessions to have that experience.
Yes, for new clients, it's starting with 3 sessions, and returning clients they schedule as needed.
By the way, I also should say that you also met with my husband too, who had his own journey. We'll just talk about that too. My husband doesn't do stuff like that, so that was beautiful. I love this time with you. I love you, Sara.
Love you too. Thank you.
And
Thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, so powerful. Like I just knew it would be. So thanks everybody for joining us on this episode with Shaman Sara. And our next show will be June 5th, where we're going to be joined by Libba Phillips, who is an angel communicator, and her life was actually made into a Lifetime movie. I don't know, ayahuasca Lifetime movies. We got it all here at Intuition Unleashed. Thank you so much for joining us. I know how precious it is. Appreciate you. Bye. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Intuition Unleashed. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. But before you go, we have one little challenge for you. Most of us have sneaky little habits that hold us back and trip us up, so why not take this not at all uncomfortable quiz to find out what you do to derail yourself from achieving your goals and how you can call yourself out on your own BS. So get to know your self-sabotage specialty and take the first step towards getting out of the way of your own success. Just visit https:/becknelson.com/quiz and take the quiz now. That's becknelson.com/quiz, and we can't wait to see your results. As always, we'll be back next week with more Intuition Unleashed. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening.